Hi, I'm Morgan, and today I'm going to read you a poem that I wrote titled Paper Chain. You were going away. You were going to be gone for 6 long months, so Mom and I made a paper chain. We cut out long strips of construction paper and glued them all together. 1 paper chain link for every day that you'd be gone. I missed you. I remember a photo of you from when you still had a full head of hair. You were wearing a tan-brown uniform and stood against the backdrop of a clear blue sky, and there were skyscrapers in the background. I didn't get to see you for 6 months. 6 long months. I was lucky. It was only 6 or 7 months. You came home. You survived. Many kids weren't so lucky. There were stories on the news about little kids being reunited with their parent who had gone off to war. But not all the stories were feel-good stories, thanking service people for their sacrifice. There were funerals, too. And there were lots of little girls and boys. There were lots of children whose parents came back without a breath of air left in their lungs, and the next time they saw their mommy or daddy was in a coffin, covered in an American flag, being buried in a national cemetery. But I was lucky. As I pulled apart the paper chain, I came ever closer to seeing you again. You sent us those old VCR cassette tapes. I got to see your face and hear your voice on RTV. You called Mom and I when you were at a port stop, and when you eventually made it home again, you brought me a bear from the Hard Rock Cafe in Bahrain. You came back to us when all the pieces of the construction paper from the paper chain were pulled apart. I waited with my mother in front of the aircraft carrier, and the news station was there, and they recorded a shot of you picking me up and twirling me around, because you were safe and sound at home again, and reunited with your beloved daughter and your loving wife, the happy family reunited. Oh, the media of that era rained praises on soldiers for their sacrifice, sold us feel-good stories, but reporters didn't ask the soldiers' children, "Are you okay with Daddy being gone for 6 months? And what if Daddy ends up dead while he's in the Middle East?" They never asked the children, "Are you okay with his sacrifice?" As little American kids who learned to recite the Pledge of Allegiance, were never asked for our opinions. Yet we were deprived of our parent and forfeited stability, being uprooted across the country, some even across the world, knowing that we'd likely never see our friends again. We weren't asked whether or not we were okay with being restationed, never having a proper childhood home, having to see new doctors, new dentists, moving to new neighborhoods, new schools. Us military children weren't thanked for our sacrifice, a sacrifice many of us didn't consent to, or brainwashed into believing was our patriotic duty. We were expendable, used merely as propaganda for pretty news stories promoting war. If the government had ever asked me, "Are you okay with this?" I'd have said, "No. I don't want my daddy being deployed for 6 months." But that doesn't make for good propaganda. Soldiers' sons and daughters say, "I want my parent home with me," and not, "Yeah, bring on the war." Just as I picked away at the paper chain 2 decades ago, I pick away at the years of indoctrination, the patriotism I was peppered with in the post-9/11 era, and I say, I just want my dad to be safe and sound at home. I think what's truly patriotic is not another war in the Middle East, but all the little American children growing up with their moms, their dads, their parents, safe, sound, alive, and at home with them, in a stable home, and never having to worry about whether or not their parent will come home from war. Thank you.